All right, today we're going to be talking about Chapter 10, Lesson 4. We're going to be talking about comparing populations. So, we can use something called a box and whisker plot. This is something that you guys have done in the past to compare the measures of center, and those again are mean, median, and mode, and measures of variability. We learned about range and interquartile range in Lesson 2, and we learned about the mean absolute deviation in Lesson 3. So, first thing we want to do is, if we have a box and whisker plot, we really can't determine the mean or the mode simply because we only have the 5 points of data. Remember, this point right here, that's the median. Same with this one here. Those are the medians. So we're going to use the median. So for 8th grade, the median for the walkathon here, for the amount of money raised, was 20. And for the 7th grade, it was 35. Now the interquartile range. For 8th grade, we'd be looking at this value here and this value here. So we have 25 minus 15. And that equals $10 as the variance, or the interquartile range. For 7th grade, we have 40 and 25. And that is 15. Now, when it says compare the two grades, now that we have the center and variation, we can say the 7th grade raised more money on average, but 8th grade had less variance, which means that more 8th graders sold about 20, while 7th grade sold either more or less by quite a bit. So let's look at example 2 now. Example 2, we could use median and interquartile range again, but because we have data that's pretty symmetrical, we have data that is not drastically skewed to one side or the other, we can use the mean. So, when we're looking at the mean here, we can see a double dot plot. Now be careful. These here are the values for the dot plot. So if you want to, you can go ahead and write those up on the top one as well to make it just a little bit easier to see and to read. But if I go ahead and do the Smoothie Galore mean, this is again to show the daily amounts of fruit smoothies sold. But I'd have 50, 2 55s, a 60, a 65, 3 70s, 2 75s, an 80, an 85, and 2 90s. So we have a total of 990. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 data points. So the mean for Smoothie Galore would be about 70.7. Now if we look at Sunshine Smoothies, we have 2 55s, we have 3 60s, we have 3 65s, 3 70s, 2 75s, and an 80 for a total of 925. Divide that by 14 again, and we get 66.1. Again, ish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 points. Mean absolute deviation. This is going to take a little bit more time. But if I go ahead, 70.7 minus 50, I'd have 20.7. I'd have 2 15.7s. I'd have a 10.7, I'd have a 5.7. I'd have 3 0.7s. Now here's where it gets interesting. 75 minus 70.7 is going to get you a 4.3. We have 2 of those. We have a 9.3, a 14.3, and then I have 2 19.3s. So the mean absolute deviation, add those all up, and I get 141.4. Divide that by 14, and I get 10.1. Same thing with these smoothies, sunshine smoothies. So 66.1 minus 55 would be 11.1. I'd have 2 of those. With the 60, I'd have 6.1, 6.1, and 6.1. I'd have 1.1, 1.1, 1.1. When I move over to the 70s, then I have 3.9, 3.9, and 3.9. 75, I'd have 8.9, 8.9, and then the 80 would be 13.9. Add those numbers up. And I get 87.2, and then divide that by 14, and I get 6.2. Now, what that means is on a daily basis, Smoothie Galore sells more. However, Sunshine Smoothies has less variance, which means that their numbers are more reliable. Smoothies Galore could sell a bit more than their average or quite a bit less than their average, while Sunshine Smoothies are going to be pretty close to their average on a daily basis. So, Smoothies Galore has a higher average, but much more variance. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, this is the end of Lesson 4.